Hi guys, thanks so much for stopping by. So today I will be doing a makeup review, and this is for L'Oreal Paris Makeup Infallible up to 24-hour fresh wear liquid longwear foundation. And I was very excited to try this out because I have when I got this, and I think when this was first released, I still had like hormonal skin due to postpartum. And now my son is 2 years old, so I have tried this postpartum skin, which is incredibly hormonal, sensitive. I was very dry skin, very dry combo. So like my skin was very dry, and then it became very dry with combo, and then it became dry combo, and now it's kind of turning the tide and going back to normal. And I think it's a combination of my current skincare as well as I'm also taking a certain supplement, which I will do a review on that. And so skincare, the supplement that I am currently using, and my son's already 2, so you're only healing for 2 years. So it's already after 2, so my skin is already starting to go back. But my skin has never been like this great, even before I was pregnant. So just letting you guys know out there, just so if you're curious or interested in things like that. I've always had like great skin, but what I've noticed after 2 years, after my son has reached 2 years and my body has healed, I have noticed that my current skincare regime really has elevated my skin. Even before that, like my skin has never been this great. So anyway, I'm going to talk about this foundation, which I am wearing. I'm currently wearing today. I'm not wearing any highlighter on top of this. This is based, if you could see a little glow, that is based on a new K-Beauty item that I just got, which is a primer. So it is in the description box if you are curious and you want to try it out. That is the only primer that so far that this foundation is really working out for me, because I have tried this with probably 10 different kinds of primers, and it's always kind of like calicky or chalky, or just like, it's weird. It just does. I have like a beautiful glow right now, and I really think it's because of the primer that I'm using. It has nothing to do with this, because I have used this with other primers and it doesn't give me like this beautiful glow. So just so you know, that this is not like a glowing kind of foundation. It doesn't give you that glow. It actually gives you more of a just a regular foundation, not a glowing foundation, I would say. It's supposed to have like a natural matte finish, so it's supposed to be okay for dry skin. I've used this with a lot of hydrating primers, and I'm very shocked that the only primer that this worked the best is a K-Beauty primer. Every other primer that I have used with this just kind of didn't really work out. Actually, I've used one K-Beauty. I have a different K-Beauty, which I forgot. I didn't use it with this one, but I should probably try it out with that one as well. So far, I've used it with, I know, department store primers and drugstore primers, and it has like a weird look and texture to it. It goes on smoothly, but then it kind of settles in patchy. So it's really awful. Like, I feel awful. I'm trying to use the whole bottle because I don't really want to leave the house with it. But now I think I can, because of I'm just going to use the K-Beauty primer that I have. I have 2 different kinds, and I'm going to switch it out. But right now I'm using an Etude House. I'm going to try and use the one that I have, which I already made a review on, but I wasn't able to do it with this. I forgot. I'm going to do the Clavu one. and see how it works. So this one, everything I do agree. It is a Longwear foundation. It is natural matte finish. It works great. It really does. I would say if you have dry skin, normal skin, dry skin, very dry skin, very, very dry skin, you will really need a hydrating primer. If you don't use a hydrating, I'm sorry about that. I'm dyslexic. If you don't use a hydrating primer, this is going to look very patchy. And, sometimes different people will have, will use the same things, but the effect is different. So whatever your holy grail primer would be for hydration, try and use that. Try and use different kinds and do that. If you have large pores, this will go into your pores. So make sure you have a primer for pores, and making sure the foundation doesn't sink in there, because that would be I know an uncomfortable situation. And I know for me, if I had that and I look in a mirror and I see that, the rest of the day when I'm out, I'm very uncomfortable and I'm humiliated. Like, I'm just embarrassed about it. So just make sure you have a really good pore primer to make sure this doesn't sink in your pores. Longevity wise, without a primer, it stays on pretty decently, but I will still suggest use a primer. Every single foundation out there always says, oh, it's gonna last all day. Not really. It never does. So always get a primer that works for your skin. There's always a lot of hyped up primers out there, but try and test out all different kinds, and then you're gonna get the one that's perfect for you. So far, from what I've noticed, my two favorite primers right now are from Clavu and Etude House, and they just really have surpassed my expectations, because let's just say all the greatest Western cosmetic brand primers are in this level. No matter the price. The price can be like over $50. It doesn't matter. Let's just say this is the best of the best that I've tried, and they're really, really expensive for the Western cosmetics. And then I have tried 2 primers so far, and it is like right here. Like, you can't even see it. I'm very impressed. So I would suggest just test out different primers. If you don't want to try a K-Beauty primer, that's okay. If something that does work out for you, that is your drugstore primer or a luxury primer or a department store primer, check it out and just try it out. I will just have to tell you though that I've tried different kinds, and for whatever reason it always gets patchy around this area right here. And I'm gonna come closer, and right now you can't really see that. It's not patchy at all. Right? Is it just me? Slightly patchy here, but not crazy. Usually like this is horrible right here. Usually. But with the primer that I'm using right now, it works great. And I've never broken out with this, which is great. I've never had a rash. This doesn't burn my skin when I use it. I don't have any negative effect of that aside from the patchiness. I really do wish that this wasn't patchy on my skin, because it does perform well. It doesn't oxidize on me, so it's really, really great in that sense. And what I've noticed is that after you put it on, it's not very tacky. There's a little bit of tackiness, but it's not extreme. I still do set it with a powder very, very lightly. And I still do spritz after with a finishing spray, a hydrating finishing spray. You know, it's the color months, and my skin is in a normal, but with an oily nose, very, very light oily nose. and slightly dryness on the outside, like everywhere else, close to normal, like in between normal to dry. So that's my skin now. The rest of my whole face, I'm gonna say it again, my whole face, except for my nose, is normal to dry. My nose area is oily with a lot of like enlarged pores, and that really is where the oiliness comes from. I would also recommend, especially in the cold, like right now in the colder months, if you want a spritz. I have been loving this one. This has been great for me. I have been loving this one, the Mario Badescu. So far, this is the one that I have been using. I do have the other two kinds, and I love to refresh it. It doesn't smear my makeup. I've also used it on my toddler when we're out and his face was getting red and irritated due to the cold. I spritzed this on him just to kind of, give him something, and it really helped him. So recommend this too, but let's focus on this one first. I will do a full in-depth review on this one in another time. I feel like I still need to keep on using this to give you guys a full review. So this one, I do recommend this one. This, I believe, this works great if you find a good primer with it. And it can smear your foundation if you are not setting the under eyes. I set my under eyes with just the powder. But from what I've noticed with this particular primer that I'm using, it's not really smearing. So that's great, but we'll see. Because sometimes, it gets worse during the day. But so far, so good. But I've only had this on for like, I don't know, a few hours, so it's okay. This, it says sweat and transfer resistant. I don't agree with that. It is not transfer resistant. I guess transfer resistant because the transfer isn't really crazy, but I also do set it with powder yet again. And I also do a finishing spray or a setting spray. So that minimizes that. However, if I do those, it shouldn't transfer at all, but it does. However, the transfer isn't really extreme. So if you're going to wear sunglasses in the summertime or sunglasses even when it's super bright in the wintertime, which I do, I will get marks here, right here. Yeah, so I don't like that part. And it's kind of hard to touch it up. So just be aware of that. My biggest concern usually is putting sunglasses on because I wear sunglasses all the time. My eyes are really sensitive to light now. It has been for like, I think about 12 years now. It's been very, very sensitive, especially at night. It's kind of hard for me. Like a little bit of light is very blinding for me. So I always wear sunglasses, and during the day when it's very sunny. So my biggest test is usually wearing sunglasses. If the foundation doesn't transfer, that is like creme de la creme right there. But I haven't really come across a foundation that does that. I can only hope for minimal. That's it. So, everybody else out there that does wear glasses or sunglasses and they wear foundation, you know what it's like. If anybody out there has found a way to get rid of that, you guys own magic. So again, I recommend this product, and it also says breathable, texture, respirable. I agree with the breathable. It is very lightweight. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing a ton of makeup. Like if you have used like the Revlon Color Stay, I think that's what it's called, or the Estee Lauder Double Wear, that feels heavy. Like it feels like you're wearing makeup. This kind of feels like you are wearing makeup, but not extreme. It's very lightweight in my opinion, and I really, really do love this foundation. I think if it becomes in the patchier side, you just need to get a better primer from my personal experience. It says it has SPF 25, which is good, but not, you know, the greatest. I have tried this without a finishing spray or touching up, and it can get kind of chalky in a sense. I don't even know why. Like later in the day, it just never oxidizes. It can get a little bit chalky, so just kind of watch out for that. And if you don't like, you know, if you want to tone that down, you know, just make sure you add a bronzer. Again, I would suggest this. I would recommend it, and I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I give it 2 thumbs up. I have sensitive skin. It never made me break out. This did minimal transfer, which is great. Minimal transfer versus a lot of transfer is great. Like, it's not as embarrassing when you have the phone right there. However, I would really prefer a foundation that would actually not transfer at all. But we can still keep dreaming for that. I would suggest you wear this with a primer. I do not recommend this not wearing a primer with it. I also do recommend you use a powder after. Very light though. Very light. If you have more of a oily skin, it's not so bad, but I don't think it's a mattifying foundation. So just watch out for that if you have oily skin. It kind of mattifies a little bit, but not too much. So if you have oily skin, I would suggest get a mattifying primer to do that, or test out mattifying primer on the oilier parts of your face, and then the less oilier parts of your face, you can also put just regular primer or a hydrating primer, just to kind of try and test it out. Medium to full coverage, I agree with that completely. In this area right here, I think I did 2 squirts, 1 squirt per half the face, and it covered it completely. So that's really amazing. I didn't have to do a second layer at all. Again, make sure you get the right primer. And sometimes, like for me, I had to test it, well, because I'm also reviewing it, but try and test it out in different primers. If it doesn't work for your Holy Grail primer, it might work for a different primer. So just, you know, if you're going to get this, it's a 1 fluid ounce. It's going to last a while. You can try and test it out with different primers to get the perfect combo. If you have oily skin, I would suggest you try out a little bit of powder to set it, but just try and see if a little bit goes a long way or you need a little bit more. It just depends. And also, of course, a setting spray. I always recommend that every time I'm using any kind of foundation, just because from my personal experience, they always last longer when you do that. So always keep that in mind. It's always better to do that. If you don't want it to kind of disappear in the middle of the day and you're looking kind of off or patchy or just different, like multicolored face, like because of your foundation, then please do the primer, the correct primer that you need for your skin, powder if you need to, if you want to, and of course a setting spray, just to kind of like help with the longevity and the lasting of your makeup. I hope you enjoyed my video, that you're going to give me a thumbs up. And of course, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you're notified every single time I do upload a new video. If you want this and you're curious about my skincare regime as well, they're all down below in the description box. If you're curious about everything that I'm wearing today, it's all in the description box as well. If there's anything that I didn't cover, I tried to cover as much as possible. And if there's anything that I missed, let me know down below in this comment section. I love hearing from you guys and answering all of your questions. So let me know down below. Don't hesitate in that at all. If there are other things that you're interested in, you want to connect with my other social media accounts, let me know down below. If you can't find that information, it is in the description section. And it is different per platform that you're going to use. Again, if you want to connect with me, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's in the description section, so feel free to check that out. And of course, this product is going to be there too, as well as everything else that you see. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you guys again next time.